thinking about yourself and time constraints and is telling the story, revving them up and so on. So you need to be a little bit observant in how you are indulging them. But I think you do need to be patient and to listen, and don't tell them what to think and what to do and what they should and shouldn't do, and to contradict them and to correct them. That's very, very unhelpful. Because of becoming extremely willful, you are not going to like it if somebody is contradicting you. So acknowledge that this is the way they're thinking, not necessarily the norm or what you think. You don't have to pretend to agree, but there's a part of listening to them and letting them be heard. And in fact, it can be quite fun, because although it might sound like gobbledygook, a lot of what they're saying, it's all jumbled up and it jumps from one subject to another. A lot of it is actually quite interesting and insightful. So it could be quite a nice exercise to let them go on a little bit so that you can listen to what they're saying. It's good for them, but it can actually be quite interesting for you too. And then what I suggest is, rather than telling them to slow down, is that you actually say, I'm not quite following you, could you just go over that bit again? And then it slows them down, not because you're saying, will you slow down? You're saying, I can't keep up with you. So you bring it back to you. I'm not following you. Could you say that again? I missed that. It's very interesting, but we need to stop for a cup of tea now, whatever. Just bring it back to yourself rather than telling them what to do. They're not going to like that at all. Or certainly I didn't. And the way to slow somebody down is to speak really slowly and to breathe deeply and slowly. So you're almost kind of letting them pick up on osmosis. So you are doing what you want them to do. That's very effective. And the other thing that I think, especially as a supporter, is that it's quite helpful to know that any fears that you have as a supporter are going to be magnified by their behaviour, and is also going to magnify their fears. It's like your fears and your worries and concerns are bouncing off each other and mirroring each other. So there is a great benefit in actually addressing your own stuff. Rather than thinking, well, this is all you and I'm here to help you, let's say, oh, okay, what's that bringing up for me and what are my concerns, and address that a little bit in yourself. If you approach somebody who's in a state of mania, in a much calmer, settled space yourself, it's going to be more effective. So I think it's also a little bit of riding it out. Some parts of a manic attack are just going to burn themselves out. So you're going to run with it a little bit, but you're going to create, as a support person, you're going to create a framework within which they are going to be okay. You don't want to let them hurt themselves. They must sleep, they must eat, they must bath, they must exercise. And if it means you've got to take them by the hand and walk them and guide them, nudge them, rather than saying, you must walk now and we are going for a walk, you just get your hat up and you sort of, while they're busy blabbing away about something, next thing they know they're on the mountain. So you need to create that space. And when somebody is in the middle of a manic attack, they don't have any ability to do that for themselves. So the next step is, what can I do for myself when I'm not in the middle of an episode? Now, the interesting thing with bipolar is that it's not necessarily an ongoing illness. It's an up and it's a down and it's an in-between when you actually are functioning normally. And it's in those times that you need to set together your structure, which you're going to fall back on when you're not in a fit state, to go about creating it for yourself. And if I have one word to say, it's rhythm. It's the most important thing. Now, a bipolar person or somebody who's prone to mania and a very hectic, fast life is going to think, rhythm, God, that means routine, boring, okay, keep it away from me. But actually, it's quite the reverse. With a rhythm in your life, you are sleeping regularly, eating regularly, and exercising regularly. You will create a firm foundation from which now you can be creative and this and that and do and be very efficient and do all the things you want to do. So that pattern in your day and your week and your month is very, very effective. It's extremely easy to set up. It's almost obvious. It doesn't cost anything. It doesn't take any serious reading or research to do. But I think you and with your practitioner need to try and set that up. And very important that it is affordable, that it's easy to execute, that you don't go overboard, that it fits in with your life, that it's workable and sustainable. Extremely easy, and that's going to give you the best results. And the support system as well. Have regular treatments or massage. Go for walks regularly. Do your yoga. Whatever it is that is good for you in the times when you're struggling is also going to be good for you when you're feeling fine. So go into a preemptive, preventative structure. Create that in your life. It's hard to go out and try and find a therapist if you don't have one. But if you're going regularly, say once a month, in order to keep well, if you suddenly need it, you can go once a week. So you set those structures up. Priorities and focusing are very important as well, because when you're manic, you tend to do too much, too fast, and maybe you never finish anything, or maybe you do, but there's lots of things in the pipeline. So it can be quite important to focus down. Okay, we need to be creative. We don't have to sing, dance, art, poetry, writing, okay? We can do art on a Friday, and we can write in our spare time. So let's focus and not do too many things and spread ourselves thin. The other thing is that it's all very well if I've got an art room and fabulous materials at home, but it's quite difficult to motivate myself if I'm feeling down and to get round to doing it if I'm racing around being manically busy. So it's quite nice maybe to actually enroll in a creative writing class or an art class or whatever it is that is your outlet. And that leads me on immediately into this expression. It's very, very important to have a means of creative expression. I think suppressed creativity is hugely dangerous. It's there and nothing's happening to it, and it's got a lid on it, and it's going to burst out in some way. So if you have an ongoing means of expression, it can be very helpful. And then I think two other things. One is to learn to identify your self-sabotaging behavior and your good behavior so that you can undo your bad habits. It can just be something that you do regularly. It can be negative self-speak. It can be eating chocolate. It can be not doing any exercise. It can be a relatively simple thing. And whether you do it on your own and you sort of objectively view yourself, or if you do it within counselling, that's very helpful. And the other thing is to really know what your symptoms are. So your very tiny symptoms, like that butterfly anxiety feeling, the fact that you're speaking too fast, you're jumping from one topic to another, you're doing too much, you're multitasking, you're not sleeping, whatever it is that you do right up front, you can recognize. As soon as I get that butterfly feeling in my tummy and I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and jump out of bed and write a poem, is this a bit of inspiration, or am I on alert? And immediately you have that list of things to look for, you have another list of things to do. Am I going to go through my diary, cross a few things out, book an extra massage, go for a walk, whatever it is, those easy things, get into the garden. You have those two lists and you implement list 2, immediately you notice something that's on list 1. Don't wait. Don't even wait for your helpful advisor to say, do you think you should be doing it yourself. Really keeping your eyes open. That's what I called vigilance, on the lookout, reacting early. And in the end, hopefully you can get to a point where you can actually embrace this condition and say, you know what, I'm bipolar and I'm really pleased about that because it means I can be. And you embrace it and acknowledge it and celebrate it as your greatest asset.